Hello, everyone. Welcome once again to Geeks Not Nerds, the podcast. I'm Captain Logan.
And I'm Eric.
And today we're going to be watching and talking about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the movie. And I'm really excited about this, Eric, because you and I attempted to do a commentary on this a couple of years ago.
2 years in the making.
And
it was going to go when I was doing the commentary channel.
That's right, yeah. Eric was doing a commentary channel, and we weren't doing these on the podcast yet. And
no, we were putting them up as like 15-minute videos.
Oh, I know, it was crazy. It was back before any of us could go, unlimited.
And I think I was posting them over the movie because
you were
because some of the Power Rangers one got cut out.
Oh, I know. Do you still have those files?
I don't. My computer crashed.
Oh, that's awesome.
I used to have all of it.
We may have to do that one again because that was.
Oh, that'd be great. Yeah.
Well, anyway,
maybe this time our videos will be in sync.
So we shot. Oh, I know, but that was half the fun.
Yeah. After when you're like, yeah, my video, I just stopped watching. I just know that movie so well. I just knew what you were talking about.
Yeah, I faked it. So anyway, Eric and I recorded half a commentary one night, and then one of our computers crashed, and we weren't able to keep watching. So we decided to finally come back and do this one, and people have been asking for Ninja Turtles, and so I'm very excited to finally bring this to everybody. If you have never listened to one of our podcast commentaries before, and I think this is Eric's actually first time on a podcast commentary on the channel.
It is.
If you've never listened to one of these before, what we do is we do a commentary and a podcast simultaneously. So it's more fun to watch to listen to rather, while also watching the movie. But if you don't happen to have the movie with you while you're listening to it, we do our very best to provide some context so that you can listen to the commentary without also watching the film. And also, please forgive my voice. I'm getting over a cold, and I'm going to do my very best to be audible while we're talking about Ninja Turtles. Eric, are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right, if you're going to watch this with us, turn on your DVD player or your Blu-ray player, whatever you're going to do, and get it past the menus. Put it on timestamp 0.
Oh, don't watch it in Blu-ray. This is not a movie meant to be seen in high definition.
Get it to timestamp 0 and press the play button as soon as I give the sign. Here we go, Eric. Is everybody ready? Press play right now.
It wasn't a sign. It was more of like a statement. Oh man, this is really grainy footage. This is fun.
Yeah, there's the Twin Towers.
Yep. I love that this movie, like when it opens, it feels like a 70s movie.
It does a little bit, doesn't it? Or possibly an 80s sitcom.
Well, they did have a Jeffersons writer try to write the script.
Oh, yeah, you told me about that.
And all of this stuff is completely original to the film. Like the whole, I was thinking about this the other day, is that the whole Foot Clan thing being teenagers, that's completely original to this film.
Wow.
Everywhere else, they're just ninjas or robots.
But it works really well because it gives you this really interesting teenage motif, given the fact that, the Ninja Turtles are obviously supposed to be teenagers, and then it's kind of about how, teenagers can be, easily manipulated by crime like this.
And I love this score.
Me too. It's really good.
I don't know who did it, but I really like it.
I was always very impressed with how mainstream feeling this movie is, given how independent of a film it is.
Yeah. And it feels like it has a pretty decent budget. And I don't think it did. I think it had maybe a middle of the road budget.
No, they did a really good job of working with what they had, and there is a decent amount of minimalism going on in this movie. I think that the money that's there was put into the animatronics.
Yeah.
Must have been.
Well, it certainly didn't go to the actors. Not that anybody here is bad, but outside of Elias Koteas, I don't think any of them worked again.
No, and that's one of the things I like about it, is that the characters are just the characters, and you're not...
Well, and even with Elias Koteas, because this is where I first saw him, when he shows up other places, I'm just like, oh, hey, it's Casey Jones.
Casey Jones, yeah. Have you noticed he looks totally different in everything he's in?
Well, recently his hairline has significantly receded.
That's right.
But he's in Prophecy, and he looks pretty much the same, but with shorter hair. Don't watch Prophecy. It's really boring.
I've heard that. Wow, the old Burger King and Whopper wrappers.
And Sid Vicious t-shirt, which he will wear the entire movie.
That's right. Okay, now what is Sid Vicious?
Sid Vicious was the bassist for the Sex Pistols.
Okay.
There's a movie called Sid and Nancy where Gary Oldman plays Sid, and I don't like the film, but it's about the starting of the Sex Pistols, them breaking up, and then Sid stabs Nancy, I think, 37 times, because they're both really high, and then I think he overdoses himself.
Thank you for because I'm not familiar with. I mean, I know some of the Sex Pistols music, but I'm not familiar with that history. And I've been watching this movie for 20 years and wondering why the heck he has a shirt that says "Sid" on the back of it.
That is something that I love about this film, is that there were references that I didn't get until I was like 19. And it's so like packed with all these references, none of which are necessarily like, 1989 references. They're just references to all of this stuff that, like, as a kid I didn't know. Oh, hey, it's, I can't remember his name. But he's somebody now.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the lead guy is, he's Justin Hammer in Iron Man 2.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I can't think of what his name is off the top of my head, but I love him. He's one of my favorites.
Wow.
Sam Rockwell. It's Sam Rockwell.
That's hilarious. So he's one of these gang members here.
Yeah, he's the one that offers them cigarettes, and then he's the one that tells them it's a family.
I always thought that one of the most memorable things about this movie is how it opens. Not just Raphael popping his head out from the manhole cover, but the fact that the movie is making us wait a long time to finally get to see what they look like. And I always thought that was a really great way to open it, especially because the payoff is good. I mean, they don't look bad. If they look terrible, it wouldn't work, But this movie is saying, look, this is going to be maybe a little smarter than you thought it would be.
Well, and because I was telling you, I just watched the second one the other day. The second one kind of mimics that. When they show up, they look a little bit worse. The lip syncing's just not as good. It's a really different reveal.
Yeah.
But I just love the tone that it sets building up to it.
And it maintains that tone throughout the whole film.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. It's got a really, like, kind of, I guess, what the early comics had, where, like, it's like a dirty 70s crime thing with, like, hip surfer teenagers.
Yeah, it's a bizarre dichotomy. It's hard to imagine that it would work, but it does.
Yeah.
We see Leonardo there, and we're like, this is cool.
Yeah.
It's just cool.
And they just look so good.
They do. They look great. You wouldn't have expected this would work. And I think that 30% of it is the lighting.
Yeah. If this was in, like, broad daylight. Well, then again, I'm thinking of some of the scenes at, like, April's, and they're pretty well, like, largely lit.
Yeah, we'll have to look and see how they do that when it gets there, because I always remember that thinking that a lot of why they work so well is the way that they're lit.
I know my friend has told me, I'm actually going to try and look for it, because I've never looked for it, but apparently there are scenes where when they open their mouths where you can see the actors' mouths underneath.
Oh, wow, really?
And I really don't want to see that, but I'm gonna watch for it.
Okay, let me know if you see it and I don't. So already, just 5 minutes in, we've already heard Raphael say kind of a swear word.
I thought a lot of the stuff with the censorship of the second film was ridiculous. The removal of the swearing, I don't think was that crazy, especially for all the kids going from the cartoon to this.
No, that's okay, but it's really neat that we got a film that was so close tonally to what the comics were initially.
Oh, yeah.
It's really neat. And of course, there are obviously a whole lot more people that have seen this film than have read those comic books. But
yeah.
what a lot of those people don't know is that a lot of why they like this movie is because it reflected the comics so well.
I think it's kind of funny in the credits, there's a story by credit, then script by, it's the story guy and then somebody else. Because I kind of feel like if you're going to do a story by, it's Eastman and Laird. I mean, this is their story.
I think so, too. What was really strange is that the comic book novelization, which I did a comic vault on a few weeks ago.
I just watched that.
Isn't it bizarre that, like, they went back and made a comic based on this, which they didn't write?
Yeah.
It's weird that they wrote it.
I really like this Splinter. I think he's probably my favorite Splinter voice. Although I was talking to you before, I think, particularly with Raph, this is kind of what everyone imitated afterwards.
Yeah, I agree with you. Well, it's because I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that it's the version that emotionally resonated the most with people. Raphael's the one turtle that kind of has an arc in this. Well, he and Leonardo both, but I mean, like, he's the one that we're really supposed to relate to, and I think that it's the one that succeeds the most.
And well, I'd seen the cartoon here and there. I had some VHSs. I remember watching the episode with the meatballs. They're actually alien eggs multiple times because I had that VHS. But this is the version that I've seen the most and I'm probably most connected to. I probably know this film line for line.
I had the exact same thing with this that I had with Batman, and that's that I looked at multiple versions at the exact same time growing up. Because when I was a little kid, this and the cartoon show were both really popular. And of course, This came out right after '89 Batman. And so, I was watching those movies simultaneously. In fact, those were the two movies I went back and forth on, watched over and over again when I was 6 or 7. And
I watched this movie nonstop. This and Transformers the movie.
And of course, I was watching the Ninja Turtle show when it was on, so I saw most of the episodes around when they aired. And I don't know, something about being a little kid, 6, 7, 8, I never really thought that much about the differences between the two. It was just Ninja Turtles.
Yeah, I never really did either. I knew that I liked this better, and I think this is kind of what I want Turtles to be like. Even when I went and finally read the comics, when they went to space, I kind of checked out.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it's all of this stuff that, that's really where I go to for Turtles.
Yeah, I agree with you. And at this point, and I've said this before, I really think that we're maybe getting to a point, at least for me, in my opinion, that the best Turtles thing is maybe going to end up being the current IDW series.
I'm hoping that really keeps going after they finish the whole Krang thing.
And the Krang thing just gets more and more interesting. I really feel like it's the best of, well, I almost said both worlds, but 15 worlds.
Right. I think this might be the guy we were just talking about that's in The Shadow and Home Alone.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I think this might be the same guy. I'm not sure.
Talking a little bit before this started. Oh, yeah, you're right. That is him. Is he a pizza guy in both of them?
No, he's not a pizza guy. He's a cop in Home Alone, remember?
Oh, is he? Okay, it's just he also sort of looks a little bit like the kid that delivers the pizza, but I guess that's not him. I really like that Domino's got themselves in this movie. When I was a kid, I was a sucker for product placement. I was like,
too.
I would go, oh, cool, I know what that is, But it's really great that an actual, pizza company is in this movie since pizza was such a big thing with the Turtles.
And it's kind of weird because, at least on the VHS I had, the opening commercial was Pizza Hut.
Isn't that bizarre?
Which that commercial is just burned into my memory, and I'm so glad YouTube lets me be able to still watch it. Because I love that commercial.
I won't lie to you. If I put this movie in, I try to go watch that commercial before I watch it. I can't help myself.
I love this gag.
That a little nerdy? Yeah, yes it is. But it's also kind of nostalgic, and part of the fun of watching this is the nostalgia from my childhood. The great thing is it still holds up.
Yeah. Like I was telling you before we talked, I rewatched the second one and it really doesn't. So.
And don't bother trying to watch 3 again unless you want to stab yourself in the face.
I don't even own 3.
Great introduction for Casey Jones.
Yeah. Well, you know what's interesting? Because I was listening to an interview with Kevin Eastman the other day, and he was talking about how his vision for Casey Jones is Jack Burton from Big Trouble in Little China.
Really? Interesting.
Yeah, he said he wrote the first issue, and then he saw that, and ever since, that's how he's always written him and always heard him. And he's like, I think Elias Koteas got that. And you can definitely see a good bit of that.
I think that getting Casey Jones right was really important for making this movie work.
Oh, absolutely.
He's the male human character we follow, and it's also important to get April right, because she's the female human character we follow. In a lot of ways, it's like making sure that you've got a couple of really good, I don't want to say grounded necessarily, because Casey Jones is obviously a little bit out there because he's a vigilante, and we can't all relate to those. But I was going to say it's a little bit like trying to have a couple of good human characters you can sort of relate to, like in a movie with a bunch of Muppets.
But I think it's really interesting that they didn't choose to go with like a teenager that gets mixed up with them. There were adults that are the point of view characters in this essentially children's film.
Well, and I don't think that they really emphasize that hard the idea of the Turtles themselves being teenagers.
By the way, to this day, I still don't get the Hizeka and Seiko bat joke.
What, just why he would say that?
I don't know what that is.
I don't either.
I think it's a high quality bat, and he's accusing him of stealing, but I'm not sure.
No, I mean I know who that is, but I don't know what he's talking about. Yeah.
And this joke took me forever to understand.
What joke is that?
The cricket. You have to know what a crumpet is to understand cricket. I didn't know what either of them were as a kid. I didn't know what a crumpet was, and I didn't know what a cricket was, or I didn't know what cricket was.
I will tell you when we get to it. Hopefully I'll remember it. There is a point about midway through the film, maybe a little bit later, where there is a reference to something that I did not get until I wikied it about 3 years ago.
I think we talked about that the first time we did the commentary.
No, just don't ruin it till we get there.
I don't remember what it was, but that sounds familiar.
I'll tell you what it is when we get there.
And there's the joke I stole for our last Arrow review.
What is that, just for context?
When I was describing the Dark Archer, I said he looks like a big turtle in a trench coat.
Obviously, we've already talked over a lot of the gags that are in the first few minutes of this, and I always loved the Tequila Gag. And when I was a kid, that was a song that for whatever reason my dad seemed to play a lot, and so like I knew that song even before I saw the movie. And so I thought that was funny when I first saw it. A lot of the jokes really connect, and they're not just like lame. Oh, hey, we're supposed to laugh because they're turtles that like pizza and they say cowabunga and things. Like, it's actually a pretty clever script.
Is that the song that they're dancing to?
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't know what the song was called, but I do know that as a child, if that song was ever played, I would dance like Leonardo. I thought that was the correct dance for that song.
They yell tequila. They yell ninjutsu instead of tequila. That's the joke.
Yeah.
Yeah. The song has no lyrics except for tequila.
Okay, I never knew what the actual lyrics were.
Every so often the guys playing it will just yell tequila, and then they yell ninjutsu, and that's the joke.
Can I just talk about how great the eyes are on the turtles?
I know. They look really real, and they're very expressive.
Yeah. It's really impressive. I don't know if we see animatronics this good again until like Del Toro stuff.
I think that's fair. And I think it just took everybody by surprise because it's such a low budget film. And major house.
And I think it's kind of a shame that critics were so dismissive of this film.
They were. I to this day do not understand what Roger Ebert was talking about.
I don't either. I don't understand how someone can, just from an outsider perspective, say that Batman 89 was a good film and this one isn't, because I think this one has a tighter plot and has more character depth.
I think that this movie is a lot more cohesive with its narrative. I get what's happening all the way through it and why people are doing what they're doing, regardless of the fact that I have some just straight narrative choice issues toward the end of it, and you probably know what I'm talking about. But the thing is, those are present in the comics.
Right.
So, and that's something that I failed to talk about when I did a rewind on this. This is one of those early rewinds that I feel like I probably could do a better job of if I did it now.
I would actually really like it if you went back and did this one, Batman 89, and there's another one.
Oh, there's another one?
I don't remember what the other one is, but there's another one that I actually just watched recently, and I was like, oh, I really wish Cap would go back and do like a 4-hour review of this.
Yeah, well, that's the thing is I did some of the major ones before I was doing the in-depth analysis thing where I was just sort of reviewing for 6-7 minutes.
It might have been Superman 2. I'm not sure.
Well, luckily we just did a commentary on that, so.
I love this guy. I love the police chief.
I do too. I like all the casting choices in this, to be honest with you.
I do too. I don't think there's a single person where, like, even going back, I'm like, oh, they're weak.
And there, again, with people like, by the way, great introduction for Shredder. I mean, we know who that is.
Yeah.
Love that he has a bunch of monitors and he's got no good reason to watch the news on so many different monitors, except I guess just to occasionally blow one up when he gets angry.
He never throws his claw again.
No, but it's pretty cool that he can. But anyway,
maybe it's a knife.
It would have been very easy to make characters like Casey Jones and April extremely irritating, and the movie does a great job of avoiding that. I love that I actually like April in this movie.
Oh, yeah, which is something they definitely failed in 2 and 3.
I don't know. I never disliked her in any of the movies, but
this is the best.
This is certainly the best.
It's interesting because I don't think I've seen her in anything else either.
No, and I think she's a pretty competent actress here. This April is not an airhead like she is in the cartoon, and I mean she's not what she was in the comics. They still keep her profession as it was in the cartoon show, but it's cool that she's proactive and she's doing investigative reporting, even though that's not really her job. And she gets herself into trouble to try to solve these problems. She's very likable.
I really like the choice to make her like a real reporter, I guess, as opposed to just like somebody that shows up like when the Technodrome shows up in the middle of New York. She goes and investigates things. She is reporting things.
And like I said, that's not really her job. You know what I mean? Like her boss expects her to just show up and read the teleprompter, but she's like, nah, I'm gonna go figure stuff out, and she's getting them in trouble. I really like that. And she's not just spunky for the sake of being spunky. Like there's
I want to know if the newspaper Raph was reading is a reference to something. I've never paid attention, but it says it's worse, and I didn't read what was under it, but I want to know if that's a reference to something.
I don't know. I think it's just that the crime spree is getting worse.
Oh, that might be it.
I've looked at that before. I think that's what it is. I like the Foot Clan costumes. I think they look really good.
I do too. I think they look probably the best you can get like a ninja costume to look without making it silly looking.
And
sorry,
it's amazing that some of this choreography works.
Oh yeah.
The fact that somebody could do a jump kick like that in that costume, it's really cool. Now, it is a little bit, if I'm going to nitpick here, it is a little bit goofy that they do seem to kind of just plaster up an angry facial expression on Raph and have him just keep it through the whole fight.
Yeah.
That is sort of funny. Another thing I always really liked about Turtles was just the absurd notion of as long as we put on a trench coat and a hat, no one will be able to tell that we're a turtle.
What I love about this movie is that everyone can tell that they're turtles and they're just New Yorkers and don't care.
Yeah, exactly. Would you say that there is a surprisingly decent suspension of disbelief in this film?
Yeah, no. I think the way that they play everything kind of straight, but poking jokes at what's actually silly, I think that totally works.
I want her to redecorate. Raphael's hilarious.
I really want to know, do the subways actually connect to the sewers? Is that like a real thing? Because I feel like that happens in Ghostbusters 2 as well.
I don't know. I never thought about it.
Because if they do, they probably could have just gone to the subways in Dark Knight Rises and just gotten the cops out, and it would have been a lot easier.
I was somewhat preoccupied by the clock on the wall that said that looked like it said it was like 5:30. Yeah, look, it's 5:30.
I'm definitely like a minute behind you. Oh yeah.
Oh, okay, that's all right.
But I You know what I think works about the, oh, by the way, is the Foot Clan member supposed to be Danny? Is that what I'm supposed to get from that?
I think so.
I was never clear, and I don't think he's a Foot Clan member until later, but he seems to be the one that knows where they are.
Maybe not. Yeah, how would he know that?
But,
a point I'm just not remembering right now. But anyway, I'm sorry, what were you going to say?
Oh, what I was going to say is, I think what makes the Foot Clan outfits work so good is that they actually, and this is how it was in the comics too, but I think it actually works better on screen, is that they just have those eye holes with the things over them, as opposed to the full, like, ninja, like, visor opening. I think maybe that helps sell the costume a little bit more and makes it look a little bit less silly, just because you can't see them at all.
Yeah, maybe so. I mean, when they do a close-up, you can sort of see their eyes behind the bug eye holes, but
yeah.
But it is kind of neat that they look like that. I just think it's a great design.
No, it's a really good design. Thank God they didn't go with the purple. Although those guys are terrifying in the cartoon. They're like, the way they, like, from the neck up, they're really scary looking.
So
like,
this background that we get here is the way it was done in the comics, if I'm remembering right. And
this is basically just the comics, except Shredder has a brother, and his master kills Shredder's brother. What I
never cared for, just because, and this is a suspension of disbelief problem, I never bought that a rat, as I don't want to say grounded, but as sort of pseudo grounded as this movie is, I never bought that a rat would already be smart enough to, like,
mimic ninjutsu?
Ninjutsu and all of that, and then remember all that.
It's also the worst effect in the film.
Yeah, it doesn't look good. It's all slow motion and goofy puppetry.
Yeah.
And of course the turtles are talking before they've been exposed to any kind of words and things like that.
Well, but they were in, like, a pet shop. They would have been around words.
Well,
right?
yeah, I guess if you can buy that the rat would remember stuff, okay.
It's actually interesting that they didn't go with the Daredevil origin of the comics.
What's that?
It's interesting that they didn't go with the Daredevil origin of the comics.
I'm not following you. What does that mean?
In the comics, there's a kid that pushes a blind man out of the way and gets hit across the eyes with the canister, and then another canister rolls and breaks the...
Oh, yeah, right. I remember that. You said Daredevil, and I was like, what am I supposed to be thinking about right now? I don't understand.
Well, in the comics, it's basically just like a tack on to Daredevil's origin.
Because it was borrowing so much from Miller and homaging Miller a lot.
Yeah. It's interesting that in this, they're just turtles in the sewers.
They might have thought that would have been too violent or something.
Maybe. Although, given some of the stuff that happens later in the film, I don't know if if a kid pushing a blind guy out of the street would be that violent.
Yeah, I don't know. Probably not. Do you know, because I just don't know this, did they build those sewer sets?
I believe so, or they were sets built for another film and they reused them.
Because, for a movie that doesn't have a lot of money, they look really good.
Oh, yeah. I don't think anything in this film outside of that splinter effects looks bad.
No, it doesn't. The splinter effects and the little turtle effects. Here's the scene you were referring to where they're kind of in the light, and you're right, but again, still not real bright. I mean, all the way around, this is a pretty dark movie.
Well, this isn't what I was talking about. I was talking about when they're staying at April's and there's daylight.
Oh, okay.
And when they're on the farm, it's daylight for some of it.
You know what? Right. I'm sorry. You're totally right about that. Well, maybe they just look that good, and it doesn't matter how you light it.
There's a lot of light in this film, which is interesting given how much darkness there is.
But to be fair, I think that the film gets some credibility by like slowly getting us used to seeing this.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It doesn't open with them, in the broad daylight. It builds to it.
Exactly.
So that by the time it might look a little silly, you're already invested, and you're not.
They were taking a huge risk by even trying this.
Oh, yeah.
Look, it didn't work with Howard the Duck. amazing that you could do it with 4 giant turtles, but you couldn't do it with a single 3-foot duck.
Well, did Howard the Duck have did Howard the Duck have Jim Henson?
Howard the Duck had Lucasfilm.
Okay, so it didn't have Jim Henson. See, this had Jim Henson, and Jim Henson is the master of puppetry.
You know, I know that. Yeah.
Because...
No, and you're absolutely right. At the same time, Jim Henson, most of the time, isn't trying to make us believe that something is actually the thing it's supposed to be.
No, that's true, but I think Jim Henson kind of gets, not a bad rap, but maybe like, what would you call that? Like typecasting because of the Muppets. Like, he did, like, the dinosaur show, and he did other stuff that was more realistic looking. That's
true, but I mean, the dinosaurs were sort of goofy.
Well, yeah, but so were the turtles a little bit. Maybe he didn't do anything that was meant to interact with live actors as much, but I think he did more than just the Muppets.
I'll go this far, though, and maybe I'm giving this movie too much credit. If I were to see one of those dinosaurs in the street, I'd be like, oh, that's a dude in a costume. If I glanced at one of the turtles in the street, I would briefly wonder what that was.
I think some of the stuff in Dark Crystal and Labyrinth look okay.
Really? Alright. I've never actually sat through Dark Crystal. I think Labyrinth looks awful, but...
I haven't seen either of those films in years, so maybe I'm wrong. And we have to immediately get off the topic of Labyrinth because Dance Magic Dance is going to get stuck in my head and it's never going to go away, so we'll talk about something else.
She has some very interesting decor. What's with the Elvis Presley cookie jar?
Did you ever think about that stuff sometimes, like what they put on characters' walls? And like I've always been fascinated by how in Smallville, Chloe has a giant Clockwork Orange poster, and she doesn't strike me as the kind of person that would like that film.
No, she doesn't me either. She has this dark side you never know about.
Yeah. Or maybe it's just because if you don't know what the film is, it kind of looks like it could be about journalism based on the poster.
That's hilarious.
Oh, by the way, I love that scene with the cop. Because it's such a subtle, smart storytelling. Just that one, do you have a son named Danny? And then it cuts. Like, I feel like most kids' films, there would be a whole scene where he's like, I've got your kid, and I know that he's done bad stuff, so you're gonna get April off this. Like, they don't do any of that.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I like this actor too. I mean, I like that he's such a stick in the mud.
Oh yeah, he's great. Danny's good too for like a young teen, like 90s actor. He's pretty good in this.
I mean, I don't think we're supposed to necessarily like that kid, and he has a decent character arc. Where
I think we're supposed to come around to him by the end.
Yeah, well, yeah, sure.
Although I guess I said that thing about how they didn't have a kid who's the eyes in. I guess maybe he's supposed to be that.
Yeah, maybe to a degree. Obviously, they tried that really hard with the second one, and it didn't really work because that guy's just annoying.
Yeah, I remembered him being fun, and he is not.
No, I don't like him at all.
Well, you know who he is. He was the stunt double for Donatello, and they just liked him so much on set that they gave him a role.
Well, and I don't think the actor's bad. I just don't like what they gave him to do. I also think it's a little bit weird to name somebody after a casino game.
He's still rocking that Sid Vicious shirt.
Yeah. Oh, no, he wears it the whole movie.
It's not a cartoon. You can actually change their clothes.
Yeah, that's true. If there had been a big action figure line from this movie, he would be wearing that in an action figure.
Have you ever once in your life just gotten out of the car while your parents are talking to you in the middle of traffic?
I can't say that I have, no.
'Cause, like, that never even registered as a thought to me, even, like, as a pissed-off teenager, that, like, I could just get out of this car and run away.
You just never thought of that?
I never thought of it. And, I'm trying to account for the, like, minute you're ahead of me, but, I don't know if you're at the cigarette part,
I don't know how ahead you.
But that's him again. With the regular menthol.
Yeah. I'm not a full minute ahead of you. I just saw that.
Well, I'm not there yet.
Oh, weird. Okay. All right.
I'm still at the video game called Narc, which I've always wanted to know what that video game is. But yeah, I'll actually tell you when I get to the cigarette scene, so you'll see how far ahead of me you are.
That's cool. I'll try to drop back a little bit if I can. And for people listening, I hope you were with Eric because.
well, because I keep hearing like a slight sound glitch, so I think mine's slowly cutting. Yeah, I just got to regular menthol.
Weird. Okay, I'll pop back a little bit.
I'm still probably a couple seconds behind you, but it's fine.
All right, cool. Well, we had some technical difficulties there. Just in case we are a little bit out of sync with anybody listening.
Well, we're out of sync with each other, so it's just hard for the chorus. This movie is just not meant to have a commentary. Maybe that's why there's no special features on the DVD.
I guess so, man. It's crazy. I like Tatsu a lot.
You like who? Oh, the big Asian guy? What's his name?
I think his name is Tatsu.
Oh, yeah, I think that sounds about right.
And
yeah, he's great.
My wife loves quoting that guy.
Oh, hey, Archie. I never caught that before.
Gee.
There's an Archie comic who made the Ninja Turtles Adventures, like 87 issues.
Yeah, but I didn't notice that. That's cool.
But he's really silly in the second one.
Oh, I know, really silly.
And he's so menacing here.
Exactly. By the second one, it seems like his whole character thing was he just kicks things.
See, I just watched the second one. I want to talk about some of the silliness in that, like the fact that their fallback point is the junkyard. That doesn't make any sense. I think it's there so that Shredder can come to them, but Shredder would know the fallback point, so it doesn't really make any sense. I love Shredder's entrance.
I do too. I think he's pretty menacing, and I love his costume. One of the things that always impressed me is that he's able to look this scary and get away with those colors.
Yeah, I know. You know what's really weird? There's a discrepancy between this one and the second one.
What's that?
And it actually makes more sense in the second one, but I like it better here. That mask he wears, that's literally just like some metal, completely alters his voice. In the second one, he always talks like he does when he has the mask on. But this one, later, when his mask comes off, his voice isn't as deep.
Oh, that's a good point, but it doesn't make any sense that mask would alter his voice at all.
No, it makes no sense. But it's awesome.
He has that in common with General Zod, where he just has this low voice for no good reason.
When does General Zod have a low voice?
Oh, I don't know if did you not notice it? He always does. Every time he talks, he's got this modulated voice.
No.
Yeah, it sounds just a little bit inhuman. They've all got it. Ursa's got it. Non's got it. They've all got it.
Oh, but he doesn't jump back and forth.
No. I'm just saying that it's modulated for no good reason.
I see. Well, at least there, there's kind of a point to it. Like here, it's modulated, and then he takes the mask off, and it's not. So it doesn't really work.
I like all this ceremony. I
do too.
This duping these kids into thinking that they're part of something that's like a family. All of that thematically, I think is really good stuff, and kind of speaks to the youth, if you will.
Well, and the whole idea of Splinter and Shredder kind of playing against each other, and Shredder being like a surrogate father to these kids, and Splinter being a surrogate father to the Turtles. There's a whole thing there. Yeah, that's right. And again, where were the critics on that stuff? I don't know. I don't know where the critics were for most of this movie.
Where they act like this is just mindless violence and there's nothing in it. I don't get it. I'm not saying it's deep or anything, but if you're gonna look at this as a kids movie, you could do worse.
I think some of the stuff later on with Splinter and Danny gets pretty deep for a kids film.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, and if nothing else, it's positive, uplifting morals, which they don't really touch on either. I mean, it's got a whole family thing that's a lot more realistic and usable morally than most Disney films.
I will never understand why critics raved about RoboCop but didn't like this movie. I don't get it.
Well, RoboCop's a little bit smarter than this.
No, it is. But but nobody went, oh God, that movie's so violent. And it's really violent.
Well, did critics complain about the violence, or did the parents complain about the violence?
Nah, critics complained about it to a degree. At least Siskel and Ebert did.
Did they? All I remember is that quote from Ebert talking about how it's exactly what you would expect coming from the video game it's based on.
Yeah, that's right. Well, they didn't say it was too violent. They just said that it was mindless violence. It was like there's nothing else to it.
And I think that's crazy watching this film.
Yeah. We're watching it and we're able to talk about that stuff, and it's not just because we're trying to like plant stuff in there because we like the material, so we're trying to like give it something that's not there. I mean, like.
No, and I've seen that. I just listened to a commentary today about Batman Returns, and I've heard other people talk about Batman Returns, so I'm like, you're inserting things where it's not.
Yeah, we're not reaching when we say there's a family theme in this movie. It's a little obvious. In fact, if anything, it's in your face.
Yeah. I don't know. I really don't get it. I don't get this. Like, if my kids were going to watch a movie, like, I would much rather they watch this than some of the mindless drivel they put out for kids.
And I'm not sure what parents had a problem with, because my parents never had a problem with this.
Neither did mine. I can understand the swearing, especially going in just out of the cartoon.
Sure, yeah, fair enough. But I think with some adults it was sort of like oh cool, this isn't just a kids movie.
But one of the things I think is really weird was the complaint about the weapons, because they don't like impale anybody or like seriously injure anybody with them.
No, they just have them.
Yeah,
but
especially Leo and Raph, because they've got blades, and I don't think they cut anybody.
No, they don't.
So
pork rind.
I have tried to get people to do that with me, and nobody ever does it. They never want whatever I've got.
I do that all the time. I can't tell you how often we quote this.
I quote it pretty often. What was funny was when my friend quoted what he thought was this movie, but it was actually the third movie.
Oh my God.
And I didn't know it came from the third movie. I was just like, that's not the first movie. Because I know it so well, like, that is not one of the jokes.
I've always thought that one of the things they really got right with this movie, intentional or not, is that they don't try to make it look too polished.
No, not at all. It's got that kind of gritty kind of. There's some movies that, I watch and I'm like, I don't ever want this to be cleaned up. And this is one of those. I don't want to see like the high def, like nice version of this. It should be grainy.
It would take something away from it.
If the first Terminator has that too. I don't ever want to see that really nice and polished.
I feel like Michelangelo and Donatello's job in this movie, a lot of the time, is to provide comic relief, which is sort of amusing because they all do that. But they don't really have like the character arc and story that Leonardo and Raphael have. So we see them actually together making cracks a lot, which is sort of interesting.
Well, and what's interesting is that Mikey kind of gets left behind because Leo and Raph, have their story arc together, and then Donnie starts hanging out with Casey, and Mikey's just kind of there.
I guess.
What cartoon are they watching? I've never been able to figure out what that is. I know it's the Tortoise and the Hare, but like I don't know what version it is.
I don't know. I saw it when I was a kid.
You saw that version?
Yeah, I've seen that.
Okay, I've never seen it.
I don't remember what it is exactly.
Something interesting is the whole ninja fight with Raph. It's so ingrained in my mind that it's Raph in this. It was really weird when I went back to the original comics and it's Leo.
Oh yeah, good call.
And then I just read the Ninja Turtles micro series, and there's a Leo issue that's kind of, it's not the same story, but it's a similar story. And it just felt so weird because I'm like, this is what happens to Raph.
Well, that ends up figuring in real hard to some stuff they do with Shredder a little bit later.
Oh, and the line, the abridged book of ninja fighting, I never got that as a kid. I was like, what's the bridge book of ninja fighting?
Well, yeah, that's the thing about watching movies like this, is that they're not just using a little kid vocabulary. They're
That's
playing.
something that I think is a huge part of this movie's ability to stand up today.
Oh, it is.
It's got a lot of not adult references, but they're not like references to like kids shows. And then they have that big vocabulary. It's something that like every time I go back, I feel like I get like one more of the jokes. I'm still not sure I get all the jokes.
I do like that even though we don't have people getting like really seriously injured in this movie, it does kind of happen to Raph. I mean, you do get the sense that you're in a world where bad things happen to people, and it's not just cartoon violence. That's why I don't like the criticism that this movie was just violence for the sake of violence, because there are consequences to the violence. It's not real. I mean, like, he's in a coma for a while and he comes out of it. Yeah,
right.
I mean, but I mean, there's an attempt there of violence has consequences. We're not just fighting for the sake of fighting. I mean, they're enjoying the fighting. So I mean, I guess there's that.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, it is Ninja Turtles. You couldn't really expect them to do nothing. I've always
you'd rather have some fun with the fighting than it just being like totally brutal, right?
Yeah.
One of the things that I never thought of this before, Eric, but I think that one of the things that really helps sell some of the weirder, goofy stuff in this movie is the fact that, the foot soldiers are all idiots, but they're teenagers that just got recruited.
Yeah.
I just thought of that.
Well, because they have masks, it's not really a strong focus.
No, it's not, but I'm just saying that, like, the fact that they're such idiots sort of makes sense since they're all just kind of recruited teenagers.
Right. I really like this whole fight sequence.
I do too. Yeah, I mean, it's silly, but...
No, but it totally works because they're making jokes, but it's still violence, I guess. It feels like the fight does have stakes.
I think so too. Yeah, I mean, they're ruining this floor, and it's going to end with a fire.
Well, it's a lot like, I guess, how Spider-Man is. Like, he makes jokes about all his fights, but that doesn't make them non-threatening.
Yeah, good point.
And I wonder if maybe, like, as a kid's movie, that helps this. Like, maybe if they weren't joking, if they were just fighting, it would be a little bit scarier for kids.
Yeah, and they're already risking that to a point, considering the way they're shooting it.
Yeah.
I think it's kind of impressive that this still, they were still able to make this appeal to kids.
Yeah.
Some ways.
Smart kids.
I don't know, I think every kid liked this movie.
Yeah,
Yeah, kid that was like, Ninja Turtles.
This is going to be something that, like, I'm going to show my kids when I have kids, and probably earlier on, like, 5, 6-ish.
Yeah, right.
Outside of the language, I don't really think there's anything in this that's, I don't want to say offensive, but bad.
That would scar your kid if he saw it. Like, if anything, it would just, besides the language, if anything, if it would just be, stuff would go over his head and he wouldn't even think about it.
Well, given, some of the, you hear about kids, I never really had this, but, like, I've heard from people that, like, the witch in Snow White, like, terrified them. Like, it's not like kids are short of scary images in their films.
Oh, sure, yeah. And by the way, I had that when I was a kid with Snow White, sure.
I really want Casey Jones' hockey mask. I've never seen a hockey mask like that, but it's really cool.
You know, there are a lot of foot soldiers. Like,
There's a lot of disenfranchised youth.
I feel like they must have outsourced for some other cities to get all these foot soldiers in here.
Well,
Like
they probably went to the suburbs right around the city.
I mean, the police department could not possibly contain all these people.
Well, they do at the end of the film.
Yeah, I know, but it's not possible. I also love this bit coming up right here, where her boss leaves a message on her answering machine and fires her.
I love the follow-up joke. Or the callback joke, when Casey tells her about it. I think that's a great bit.
Yeah, it is. I love it when he's like ninja vanish, because I'm like, that's a lot of ninja that gotta vanish, man.
And they do it.
Yeah.
I also like that they get a van. It's not the turtle shell or whatever they called it, but it's a van.
Yeah, that's cool. And that they don't like try to soup it up and make it look all turtle fight and stuff.
I'm actually surprised they didn't do that in the sequel.
The sequel could have gotten away with that because the sequel apparently could do anything it wanted to.
Ninja Rap.
Ninja Rap. Wow. Shredder just hit Splinter really hard in the face.
Yeah.
I gotta say, this was a bit scary when I was a kid.
He's menacing. Man, he is just giving him the longest stare ever.
Yeah, that's a really good point. How long are we going to focus on the stare? He's still so...
I always thought this was scary as a kid. Just the beating up of his own foot soldiers.
Oh, yeah.
This is his other character trait in the sequel. Throwing things.
He throws things and he beats up his foot soldiers, and he really likes knocking over boxes. It's his favorite thing. Like, or a box, get out of his way, man. Or a rack with some weapons on it.
Or a table. Don't put anything on the table. Master Tatsu's gonna flip it.
He's flipping right now.
Oh, no, not now. I'm playing Monopoly.
Once again, consequences to violence. Tatsu just hit that guy pretty freaking hard.
Yeah.
He's knocked out. Everybody's hoping he's not dead. There's blood on that kid's face. I'm just saying, it's not violence for the sake of violence. Danny's whole character arc is, oh, this is real now, isn't it?
Yeah.
This is important stuff for kids to learn, but, you know, we live in a culture, you know, back then and especially today, where, we like to oversimplify things. We don't want kids to do violence, therefore they should never see it ever, under any circumstances.
I think it's so interesting that the most successful kids films, generally the Pixar films, have that kind of more maturity to it, yet we can't let our kids have that on television.
Yeah, I mean, and those are more popular because they resonate like that, because they tell us something that seems real. And I think a lot of people just can't put their finger on why, and they don't think about that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Well, and you know, like I think about it, and like I know, like when I was a kid, like my mom didn't like watching this movie, and like I think that's weird because I feel like for a kids film, I could be watching something much more annoying.
Yeah, I agree with you.
I could have been watching Transformers the movie, which is completely indecipherable, apparently.
Well, let me ask you a question. How much of that do you think was just the Turtles are everywhere and, like, it was so extremely popular that parents were just turned off to it because their kids wouldn't stop talking about it?
Well,
and
when
so
I was a kid, it was kind of dying down. Although I do think some of it might have been just that standard, like, parent propaganda of just like the turtles is something, you know, mindless for your children.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and of course I'm talking about when it was in its heyday, not when you were a kid.
Yeah. Well, and I know Kevin Eastman talked about one of his favorite memories with the Turtles is right after the toy line got released, him and Peter Laird went to go like look at the toys, and they didn't even make it to the aisle, and they had like a mom like pulling her kid out of the aisle saying, "No, I will not buy you one of the stupid Ninja Turtles."
Wow.
I really like their interplay.
By the way, I should mention this. One of my earliest memories at all is getting a Donatello figure for my birthday.
Oh, cool. I'm going to talk about one of my memories with the Ninja Turtles that I will never let my mom live down, and still I request money from her for it. When I was a kid, I knew
hold on. There it is. Donatello mentions moonlighting.
Yeah, which I didn't get until I was like 17, 18.
And I never got it ever. I somehow managed to get through a lot of adult life never hearing that.
I've never seen it, but...
And I had to look it up, and I went, oh, it's a TV show. My wife hadn't heard it. I'd never heard of it.
With Bruce Willis. It's so weird now because it's a go-to reference for why you don't get couples together in television.
Why you don't get what?
Couples together in television. Like I constantly hear people when they talk about why couples shouldn't get together in television, or just in long-running fiction. Like people bring up when they talk about Spider-Man getting married or Superman getting married, that I guess they got married in moonlighting and the show tanked. Like I said, I've never seen it, but when I was a kid, I knew somebody that was older than me by maybe 4 to 5 years. And he was getting rid of all his Ninja Turtles toys. And he asked my mom if he could give them to me, and he gave them to me. And I had all these cool Ninja Turtle toys. I had the Turtle Van. I had all of it. Although I don't think I had a good shredder. But like I had multiple versions of each turtle type of thing, and I had the Turtle Van. And
I was the blimp.
I didn't have the blimp.
Oh, I never got the blimp.
But one day I was going to go over to my friend's house, and my mother told me I had to clean my room, and anything I left out, she was going to throw away. And I put all the turtle stuff in this van. I had no place for the van, so I put the van next to my desk. I came home, and that van was gone.
Oh, no.
And my mom didn't throw it away. It stayed in the back of her closet for like 2 or 3 years, and then she thought I didn't care, so she just gave them to some neighbor kid.
Oh, no.
I'm like, do you know how much money those are worth now? You owe me hundreds of dollars. Granted, none of my toys lasted through my childhood. I was awful with toys.
Wow. I still got a lot of stuff.
See, I got rid of most of it just because, if it wasn't broken, it was missing pieces.
I was really careful with stuff. I probably have 70 or 80% of what I had when I was a kid. And, my kid plays with a lot of my stuff now.
You know what's interesting is that with the way she's dressing, in a movie nowadays, it would never be so under-sexualized.
Yeah, that's true.
Because she's wearing, kind of low-cut, strappy outfits, and, you look at movies now, and it'd be someone like, Megan Fox or somebody like that, and it would be, a super specialized scene.
We talked over it, but I always like the fact that there are drawings of Ninja Turtles in this movie.
Yeah, I always thought it was interesting that it wasn't like an Eastman and Laird drawing. I don't know who actually did the drawings, but...
I don't either. But it is kind of neat that we get to... I mean, I'm sure she didn't actually draw those, but I think it's cool that we get to see her actually put pen to paper.
I'm not sure why she's a news reporter if she can draw like that.
Well, maybe it's just something she does in her spare time.
I don't know where you are, but the bench thing just fell, and I think that's one of the funniest moments in the entire...
I think it is too. We're right synced now.
Okay. Because I think that's hysterical.
Oh, I think it is too.
And
I don't know, but I always like the image of Raphael in a bathtub.
Yeah, me too. I always thought that was a really evocative image. But I know that with that thing, that wasn't planned. That literally broke, and that was his actual reaction.
I know. Isn't that cool?
Yeah.
It's a good actor that can stay in character when something like that happens so they can use it.
Yeah.
So if it happens, you want to be able to use it.
I don't know if that's him staying in character. I think that's just his natural reaction.
Well, okay, so he's a lot like Casey Jones, because we buy that Casey Jones would react like that.
Yeah, I think he's just a cool guy.
He is. I think so.
Yeah.
Hey, if you haven't, let me plug this real quick. If you haven't seen Defender, Elias Koteas is great in that.
Yeah, really, really different. And an extremely receding hairline.
Yeah. Yeah, but I like him in that movie. I mean,
he's great.
He's a jerk face bad guy in that, but he's really good.
Jerk face.
That's my new go-to to replace swearing that I don't do on my channel. He's a jerk face.
You know, we talked through it, and I didn't pick up on it when I was younger. I love that Donnie and Casey are insulting each other alphabetically.
Oh, I think that's really fun. Yeah, I was like
face.
Yak face. Yeah, that was my go-to.
Yeah, see, Shredder says the boy who led us to the turtles. So that had to have been him as the ninja. He doesn't seem to have ninja skills.
And he didn't get his costume till later.
Yeah.
So that doesn't make any sense at all.
No, that's weird.
I mean, maybe it was just that he led them there because he knew April, but that doesn't really make a lot of sense.
No.
That wouldn't get them to it. That wouldn't get them to their lair, would it?
No, I don't. Well, he knows where April lives. Yeah, actually, that it does make sense. He would have been the one that found their lair. He would have been the one that knew where April's apartment was.
Yeah, so the guy we saw there wasn't him. It was somebody else. He just led those other foot soldiers there.
Right. That's
what it was. Okay, it works.
Yep. Wow, that's impressive. This film has less plot holes than most major Hollywood action movies now.
Well, glad we wasted time trying to figure that out.
I'm glad it made sense.
Okay, that's hilarious. He's using a katana to cut carrots.
I know, it's really funny.
That's great. I always thought that he and April have chemistry.
Really understated chemistry, too.
Yeah, you know, Eric, there's just not much that doesn't work about this film, is there?
No, I think everything works.
To think I gave this a 2.5 when I first reviewed it, I think I was being a new and pretentious reviewer when I did that.
I think you were. I think your major complaint was that they don't have a character arc, which is fair, kind of, but numerous characters do have character arcs.
Yeah, that's not really what I said, but I'll get to my complaints when we get toward the end of it, where they actually show up.
I don't know what Turtle Wax is, by the way. I still don't know.
Turtle Wax is for your car.
Okay. I always assumed it was something that wasn't what they were saying it was, and so I thought it was funny, but I didn't know what it was.
I just like the idea that they would use it on their shells or something. Wow, Splinter's got some blood on his face.
Yeah. I think this is the thing I don't like in the film. The weird psychic connection. This is hysterical. I don't know why. But
just the idea of them playing Trivial Pursuit?
Yes.
Well, can I say something awful? If you had 3 fingers and they're that fat, I don't think you could put the wedges in the little thing. I don't think you could play Trivial Pursuit if you had hands like that.
They play with a handicap. They only have like 3 cards.
But yeah, Eric, I agree with you. I'm not sure I like this kind of this kind of magical we can communicate with Splinter bit.
Doesn't the marshmallow bit seem like a Mikey bit?
Yes, it does.
I've always felt that was weird.
Here than we've seen him in other things.
Oh, and we haven't mentioned that's Corey Feldman, and I have trouble believing that. It doesn't sound like him. It's better acting than I think he's ever done.
So is Splinter able to do this because he's actually part of the Hand?
I don't know.
I never understood. There's no explanation for why they have this ability.
And I've always thought this scene was weird because plot-wise it's there so that they know Splinter's alive, which is fine. But his actual story to them, his actual speech to them is all right, you have to live on your own now. You can leave me. I feel like it's contradictory.
That's a really good point. Yeah, he's just because wouldn't this have a lot more weight if he just got killed?
Yeah.
I'm not saying that they should have killed him off. I'm just saying, this scene's kind of... it's really dramatic, and you're thinking, oh wow, that's really good, and then they go rescue him. And more than that, they don't actually rescue him, Casey Jones does.
Well, I'm thinking about this. If Leo just had that kind of like psychic connection with Splinter, maybe we wouldn't have bought it. Maybe because they go all the way, you just kind of have to go with it.
Well, they all have that connection, and they see him at the same time. I just don't like that. It's the only supernatural thing in the entire film.
Yeah.
Couldn't we have gotten away with no supernatural anything in this movie? Like, I'm not saying that it's not kind of supernatural that you got 4 walking, talking turtles. I mean,
it's not supernatural, it's science fiction.
But that's science fiction, yeah, sure.
I don't know. I've never been in love with that bit. I mean, I know they have to have a reason to come back, but.
And what would it be exactly? But, this movie hasn't had to contrive things like that in many other places. It would have been nice if they'd been smart enough to come up with something.
I think, if anything, the biggest contrivance is that just with the, like, sense of, like, I don't know, like, mind sensing him, he would know that he has to, that he would have to go, to the woods alone at night with a fire.
Maybe the contradiction you're talking about wouldn't have been so bad if the Turtles actually had a bit of a conversation about it.
Yeah.
Splinter.
Because they come back and say, we have to go back like it's, I don't know. Like they act like that's what Splinter just told them.
Yeah, and what he's really saying is, you need to learn how to live on without me.
Can I tell you that I completely misunderstood this scene when I was a kid?
Yeah.
I thought Casey Jones was being really dumb and thinking that their place was just where they are right now, like under the thing. I just, like, as a kid, like, remember being like, why would that be their place? It's just under an awning. Also, I've used that now I know what it's like to travel without the green card line, and it always gets laughs. If I'm, like, stuck in, like, the back of a car because we have, like, one too many people type of thing, and I say that getting out, people always laugh. Also, another joke I didn't get till I was, like, 16.
What's that?
The travel without a green card.
Oh, I see.
I didn't know what a green card was. Also interesting that was a thing back then, because I thought the border issues were more recent, or at least amping up recently. I didn't realize that was like a thing for a really long time.
The set dressings are really cool down here. I like the old phone booth that's all busted up. And
the one that works without them paying for it?
Oh yeah, that's a really good point.
I was thinking about with the second one, that applies to this one too. Who is paying their electric bill?
That's a good question.
I actually have a no prize answer.
What's that?
That they connect their power lines to apartments above them, and so they're pulling from different people, and their bills only go up a little bit.
Oh, that would work.
They wouldn't notice.
That could work. Would have been cool if that was in there.
It might be overthinking it too much, but by the way, that joke is really, really adult. The claustrophobic.
Yeah, it is.
It's really funny though.
Well, I'm not sure how adult it is. So much as it's just not something kids would immediately get.
Yeah. I wouldn't even have known the word homophobic until I was much older, so.
Yeah, that's true. Oh, good point, yeah. I'll tell you, I can't watch this movie without wanting pizza.
Neither can I. I really want some pizza right now.
Yeah. Sarah and I have been talking about having a pizza party and watching this movie.
Oh.
Inviting a whole bunch of people over, ordering a bunch of pizza, and watching this on our big projector.
I didn't get that joke either. I always thought it was like them like saluting the pizza. It's not. It's that it's bad.
Yeah.
I didn't get that because I didn't know.
Gonna eat it anyway.
I've been here, by the way.
What's
trying
that?
to sleep in a car where it's just really uncomfortable.
wouldn't you also be claustrophobic trying to sleep in your car?
Well, he opened up the window. That gives him some fresh air.
Oh, okay. I suppose so. You know, I don't know about you. I have a slight hint of claustrophobia that I didn't develop until I was a lot older.
I'm not claustrophobic. I hate being in cars. I feel really trapped in cars. I've had that since I was a kid. I don't like being in cars.
See, I'm not like that necessarily in cars, but just some really tight spaces I get kind of wigged out.
Most of the arguments I have start with me being in a car.
Are you like me where if you're in a car and you're not driving, you try to sleep just so that you don't get sick?
No. I feel like I'm very anxious when I'm in cars. I don't like being in cars. It's less so when I'm driving, particularly by myself, but I don't like being in cars.
So you don't get car sick, you just don't like being in cars?
No. I just have like a slight claustrophobia.
Yeah, okay. Interesting.
So like if we ever meet and like I'm riding with you and I just start yelling at you about you liking Batman 89, it might just be because I'm in a car.
Yeah, and then I'll be like, stop yelling at me, I have a headache because we're driving around. I don't get carsick just driving around, but like...
I'm trying to sleep.
Leave me alone. By the way, I can't watch the scenes of this movie in the kind of like gang lair they have with all the video games and smokes and stuff without thinking about Pinocchio.
You know, I was just about to say, I give total props to them for not making a Pleasure Island reference.
Yeah.
Because, they make all these weird, obscure references, but they don't go with the obvious ones.
Yeah, but they've got to be thinking about it when they put that together, right?
Yeah. Well, they're smoking cigarettes, not cigars. It's completely different.
Oh, okay. I feel bad for Splinter. He's been stuck up there the whole movie.
That's probably because I would assume he's almost all animatronic, so he probably can't move that well.
Yeah, probably so. I mean, all he gets to do this movie is get chained up, get slashed by Shredder in the face, bleed all over the place, and deliver exposition. That's all he does all movie. That's
a different Sid Vicious shirt. It's still a Sid Vicious shirt, but it's a different one.
His whole wardrobe.
He's really like Sid Vicious. I feel like that's a sign. If your kid only wears Sid Vicious shirts.
You go into his room, and he's got a closet of like 20 of those.
Now, is this the same actor as Shredder? I've never known if this is the same actor, if this is a different actor portraying him younger.
I couldn't tell you.
I would assume it's the same actor, but I don't know. You never see him without his helmet, so I can't really tell, because he looks significantly older, I feel, when you see him without the mask.
Oh, you want to know something really weird that is kind of off topic, but the guy who played Shredder in the second movie is not the same guy that plays him in this movie.
Really?
And you know who it is? It's the guy who played the leader of the Dharma Initiative in Lost.
What's his name?
I don't know his name.
In Lost.
It's just been a while since I watched Lost, I can't remember, but it's the Oriental guy that makes all the videos.
Okay, I'm not sure if I got that far in Lost.
Oh, okay. You start to see him in the videos on the projectors in like the beginning of the second season.
Yeah, I only watched the first season, so.
Okay. Well, anyway, believe me, if you watched that, you'd be like, wow, that's amazing.
I always thought that scene was way gorier than it actually is. Because she's got those, like, I don't know what's laying next to her, like, I don't know if it's like beads or something, but I always thought that was something that came out of her, and I always thought that was really creepy. Like, I thought, like, it was like, I don't know, like teeth or organs or something. But it's not, it's just like beads or rice or something.
You know, you're right. Shredder's dialogue is modulated, isn't it? He's like, what are you doing? Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. And hey, you know, this was made in 1990, and it doesn't sound like it's coming from the sound speakers. And I understand what he's saying. So weird.
Oh, man. If you were that kid right now, you'd be terrified.
I think that's how he's playing it.
Oh, that's a good point, yeah. Oh, I'm just, I'm putting myself...
It's not like he's, like, smiling and laughing.
Something I just thought of that that I really appreciated is, yes, there's a kidnapping plot in this movie, but I'm glad that it's not April.
Yeah, I think they treat April really well.
I mean, in the cartoon show, she got kidnapped every other episode.
Yeah. Which they point out in Turtles Forever.
And that's a plot that they do. And that's a plot that I feel the need to constantly kind of harp on in the superhero rewinds, is you constantly have these movies where the main female character gets kidnapped and she's in the third act. And I mean, like, they did that 3 times with Spider-Man.
Yeah, I was so impressed that they were able to put Gwen in peril but not be kidnapped in Amazing.
Amazing, yeah, thank goodness they did that. And then this movie, April doesn't get kidnapped. I mean, she gets attacked at the beginning.
But it's not the same.
It's not the same, no. And it's not like, oh, now that we've attacked you, we have to kill you. Like, it's just, they just grab her for information. Or no,
yeah,
they
Vicky Vale gets kidnapped too. Vicky Vale, the therapist in Batman Forever.
That's right.
The chick in Rachel Dawes in Batman Begins and in The Dark Knight.
Yeah, that's true. Good call.
Lois Lane never gets kidnapped though, does she?
No, she doesn't too. She gets kidnapped by Zod at the end of 2.
Oh, that's right.
Yep, they went there.
And that's one movie, so that's... They still did it in the third act.
Yeah, and it's in the third act. Yep, that's it. That's right. Oh, it's everywhere.
Wow, I never noticed that. It's like when we did that round table, and Manos pointed out how, like, almost every comic book movie has a boardroom scene.
Yeah? Oh, you never thought about the whole... See, I just keep catching it because it's in every other movie I review.
I've been catching it since he made that comment. It's not in this one.
Oh, I'm just talking about the whole kidnap. I'm surprised you didn't think about the kidnapping women plot.
No, I didn't think about the fact that that's in all of them either.
Oh, yeah, it's just everywhere. I think it's in Ghost Rider.
It is in Ghost Rider. It's not in Daredevil.
No, but the only reason it's not in Daredevil is
because she dies.
She dies and she's got size and stuff, but yeah.
I watched that the other day, and I was like, I still don't know how they all find each other on the roof.
Even the director's cut doesn't clear that up.
No, they just all show up on a roof. It's like if somebody called a bullseye. It's like, where are you? On a roof, of course.
On a roof, of course.
I was watching something the other day, and he was in that.
I was gonna say something about the whole kidnapping thing, and I forgot what it was.
I love this fight scene.
I like that Casey Jones makes fun of Tatsu.
I have that too.
Roar!
Some previous set would clear that right up.
I think that this is the right place for me to mention my qualms with the third act. And I found this to be a big enough deal when I reviewed it originally to drop it all the way to a 2.5. I think now I was kind of ridiculous. I think I was going, oh, I'm not supposed to like this movie. Anyway, I feel like maybe I've grown up a little bit since then.
You've grown up into the Ninja Turtles.
Yeah, I know. Isn't that weird? Well,
hey, Parker Brothers.
If it works, it works. No, there's a lot of maybe not intentional product placement in this movie. Have you noticed that?
Yeah.
I've seen boxes that say JVC on them and stuff. I don't know if they put that in there on purpose or not, or if that's just the boxes they found. But anyway, I'm gonna get a drink. Hold on. The big issue I have with the end of this movie is that it's all about the Turtles, and yes, a couple of them have a big character arc, but ultimately, none of the 4 Turtles either save Splinter or actually are responsible for stopping the Shredder.
I'm okay with that because, first of all, they take down a lot of the Foot. But second of all, I think because of the thematic fathers thing, I'm okay with Splinter taking out Shredder. But I think if they were going to end it like that, Tatsu should be there so that they have someone to beat.
I think so too. I mean, when you talk about them taking out so much of the Foot Clan, they look pretty easy to beat to me.
Well, that's because they're like really good at ninjas.
No, it's because they stand around and let themselves get hit in the face, Eric. And then you get to the end, and Casey Jones seems to kind of regress in his character arc, because his growth in this movie is about, learning when to use violence and when not to. And
but this is the time to use violence.
No, that's not what I'm saying. He doesn't have to smash up Shredder in a trash compactor.
Oh, I see. That's an accident. He says, oops. He clearly establishes that was an accident.
No, he doesn't. He's joking. And that's obvious.
This may be the only movie that, This may be the only movie that, guy whose name I'm forgetting again, from Iron Man 2. Sam Rockwell. This may be the only movie Sam Rockwell doesn't dance in. Because if you watch a lot of movies with Sam Rockwell, he always, that little shuffle he does in Iron Man 2, like out to the stage?
Yeah.
That's in almost every movie he's ever been in.
Weird.
He loves dancing. I just thought that Sam Rockwell was in this.
So yeah, it's definitely less of a problem than I let on with the Turtles not beating Shredder. I still don't love the Casey Jones thing at the end. I'm kind of like, what is he taking from all of this?
You know what my counter argument would be?
Yeah.
It would probably be that while it doesn't necessarily work, the entire third act holds together a lot better than most third acts.
Yeah, that's fair, but my standard is not necessarily every other Hollywood blockbuster.
Even superhero movies.
Oh, sure, absolutely.
I mean, at least this third act is in tone with the first act, with the rest of the movie, unlike the two Burton Batmans.
At least it makes sense that they all found each other on a roof.
And that it has an actual, like, big battle, like, as much as I love The Shadow, when we get to the end of it, it's really just, like, Alec Baldwin, like, and mirrors.
When Shredder drops, he totally looks like he was flying beforehand.
I know he does.
I mean, it's a great entrance, because, and it works, because he dropped from a very high place. And
the other thought is actually funnier. He's just like a kid where he just, like, hops off.
That is a goofy line when Shredder says, "You fight well in the old style." I'm like, they just did a barrel roll.
But see, if they'd been trained in the new style, they might have stood a better chance.
So the new style would not have included barrel rolls and Wheel of Fortune?
No, or California rolls.
I think it would have been great if Shredder had walked in after they went, "Wheel of Fortune!" And then he said, "You fight well in the old style."
I love that they rock, paper, scissors for
it. Especially because
they're turtles. They only have 3 fingers. What's the difference between scissors and paper?
That is pretty great.
Maybe they just do...
I guess one thing... I don't know.
Maybe they just do scissors and rock? Although, why wouldn't you just always use rock?
I really like this dialogue here, though. Like they know they're outmatched, and I like it when Michelangelo says, "At what point did we lose control here?"
I like the. Doesn't he know that we're the good guys?
Yeah, it's like, no, that's great. The formula here is this is a superhero movie and we're supposed to win.
I would say if I was going to remake this, or if I was going to make a Ninja Turtles movie.
Yeah.
I would go for a slimmer, more ninja-like Splinter, like in the comics. Because here he's got like a big Darth Vader thing. Not necessarily a bodybuilder, but he's a bigger guy.
Did you say Shredder?
Yeah.
I thought you said Splinter. Okay.
Oh, I might have accidentally.
Yeah, but you meant Shredder. Okay, yeah.
Man, Casey Jones is setting up his accident.
He is! That's the thing!
Oh, no, he's not. Okay, he's taking down ninjas.
Oh, okay, well, never mind. But still. Okay, so, at the very least, at least the Turtles, they're trying really hard, I mean...
I like the idea that when they get to Shredder, he's just too good for them. I kind of like it. I like the idea. It actually really works for a sequel setup that they still have much to learn.
Yeah, and you're right, and that's really good. And maybe I would feel better about it if I liked the sequels more.
If it followed up, yeah.
If it was actually setting up good movies.
Yeah.
So that, that's a really good point. For the sake of the film itself, yeah, maybe it works okay, but also maybe a little bit more emphasis could have been put on, wow, we were not ready for all this. And the movie doesn't really end with that emphasis.
Apparently there is an actual longer ending. That doesn't just cut when it cuts.
Yeah, I wonder what it is.
There's like another scene. I don't know what it is, but I know that there's like an extra scene.
I don't like that this cuts a little Ghostbusters-like, you know what I mean? Where it's just sort of like, we're in the place where we were when we won, and now some happy music plays and it's over.
Yeah.
I would have liked a little bit of an epilogue.
Well, apparently there was one, but they cut it. Apparently it's in the novelization.
I should take a look at that and see what it was.
Good luck. Finding novelizations for a decent price at this point in time is really difficult.
Oh, I think I have it.
Oh, you have it? Okay, because I know, like, the novelization for, like, the 89 Batman runs, like $50, I think.
Oh, really? I got lucky and found that at someplace a couple years ago for, like, $1.50. I just think it's a little bit funny. I mean, this is all in the comic, but I still always thought it was a little bit funny that Shredder's like, man, I have had it out for this rat for years, and he just showed up.
Oh no, I'm completely wrong. His voice is still modulated when he takes that mask off.
It is.
I was wrong.
Yeah.
No, the ending of the actual comic, I don't know if they would have gotten away with that. Leo stabbing him through the chest, and then Shredder pulling out a bomb, and then just knocking the bomb towards him.
Yeah, no, that probably wouldn't work.
Give my regards to St. Peter, or whoever has his job. But in hell.
Hell. I like how Splinter kind of risks maybe losing.
He said oops.
Yeah, I know that. It's a joke, dude. Obviously. I just don't like that.
See, I like it because I think it makes Casey cool. Although I watched this maybe about a year ago with my girlfriend. She was like, oops. What do you mean, oops? He just killed a guy.
Yeah. Anyway. And obviously, I mean, it's almost like comparing apples and oranges because the sequel almost feels like it's a sequel to a different movie, but like, yeah, he survives it, but
he just gets up out of the trash.
There's no way he could survive that. Wouldn't it be great if he turned into Super Shredder inside that somehow?
It was radioactive garbage.
It's a Super Shredder, and then like we have to watch him 3 times put his arm.
No, if they were going to bring Shredder back the second time, they should have beaten them the second time. It should have been a character arc thing. You know what I mean? Like I think this ending would play better if they beat him on their own in the second film.
Yeah, good point. Yeah, no, absolutely. Good point.
Is $20 like a lot more money in like 1990s dollars?
It's not. It's really not.
Like I know it's like a whole redemption thing, but at the same time, it's $20.
Well, what's the point? That's precisely how much he stole from her.
Oh, I know, but I'm just like, it's not that much money, like, I don't know.
It's just, yeah, I think it's fine though. I mean, it's just him. That's
no, it works. I'm just saying it's $20. Come on. And here's Sam Rockwell again. I think he might be the only foot guy outside of Danny that gets speaking lines.
Yeah, and I'm gonna tell you, every time you've pointed him out on screen, I didn't see him.
He's the guy with like the goatee. We're actually not to it yet. But
okay.
Watch when the foot soldier comes up and rats out the other foot members. When he says, go up there, that's where you'll get your answers. That's him.
Oh, okay. That's him. Wow. Okay. I knew he was in this, but I just never recognized who he was.
He's actually in it a lot, given.
Yeah. Okay. That is it. Wow. He just looks a lot different that young.
Well, and he's got a goatee. He usually doesn't have a goatee. And you probably didn't recognize him without his dancing.
So, I just think it's kind of funny that we're supposed to be in New York, but they just made up a place called Lairdman Island.
Well, it's a comic book reference.
No, I know, but it's funny. Because, like, no, you're in a real city. You're just making up islands.
Go check out in the corner of Eastman and Laird.
Yeah, well, that's okay, but Lairdman Island? Made a whole island! In a real city!
Especially since it doesn't seem like it's on an island when they go to it.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Like, how did Casey get back? Did he have, like, a boat? Like, did he paddle back?
I don't know, man. All that stuff I complain about, it just doesn't feel like as big of a deal as it did when I did that review 3 years ago.
You know, they're all really happy that he got with her, given that they're all teenage boys who kind of want to be with her. As a teenager, you're never happy that somebody else got with the girl that you thought was hot.
Yeah, well, I find that an endearing character trait in teenagers, and given that we live in a world where teen angst is supposed to be cool, and I always resist that, I like that.
No, it's good. I'm just saying it might not be the most realistic.
Dude, you don't know what it's like to be an adolescent turtle.
You're right. I don't.
You don't.
Their hormones are completely different.
Hey, he made a funny. Ha.
I actually like that they kept Cowabunga out of it till the end.
Yeah, that was cool. It's classy about stuff like that.
It would be really funny if they kept Pizza out of it too, and at the end he's like, now let's go get pizza.
And they were like, yeah, we love pizza.
And they're like, what's pizza? He's like, I have much to teach you, my sons. Special thanks to Renee and Mark Friedman. I wonder who they are.
I don't know.
Like, seriously, I don't know who they are. I don't know what they contributed. Wow, there was one costume designer. That's impressive.
That is impressive. So I listened to this rap a lot when I was a kid.
I didn't, but it still gets stuck in my head sometimes.
I had this and one of the Prince Batman 89 songs on a tape back to back.
Wait, what?
What?
Okay, it's the credits, so I'm going to rewind just a second, so you don't have to.
No, it's cool.
But the reason that Donatello doesn't sound like Corey Feldman is because it's not. Unless that they're listing the guy in the suit.
Well, I think so, because when they get to the end of the credits of the Turtles, it says and Corey Feldman is Donatello. I guess he did both.
Well, because it says Donatello Leaf Tilden.
Oh, okay.
That's kind of weird.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, so he didn't voice him.
Okay. So does that mean that the other... Oh, here we go, the voices. Okay, and it's a different cast. Okay, that makes more sense.
I thought they did them all like that.
Oh, the Shredder is a separate voice. It's not the actor.
That's interesting. That probably has a lot to do with why they modulated it.
Yeah, that's really interesting. That's really good lip syncing.
Yeah, the voicing looks great. Wow.
There's something in this movie named Shinso.
This is still a really solid movie, man.
I know it is. It's a really solid movie. This is a movie that, I think if you can get someone to put away their expectations, I think you could sit down with pretty much anybody and watch this film, and they'll get something out of it.
Yeah, I think so, too. I mean, it's a little dated being put out when it was put out, but...
I like that. I don't know.
I do, too. Yeah.
I find it nostalgic. And then when you go to the 80s films, I just find it fun.
Well, and it's also very escapist.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't look like, reality. Even though it's kind of gritty, and I mean, it sort of does in places, sure. I'm not saying that times have changed that much in 20 years, but
yeah. Well, it's very 90s fashion-wise, and skateboarding's not exactly a thing anymore.
Well, and April's perm is apparently a permanent perm.
Yeah. Well, they
like
big
hair to look like that through a whole movie. I'm sorry, but It doesn't happen.
I'm really glad that stuff went out of fashion. Like, McFarlane talked about how, like, he made Mary Jane hot by giving her the big hair, and I'm like, why did anyone like big hair?
Yeah. My mom tried to get a perm a lot when I was a kid. She's got these glamour shots with her, with this big poofy hair, and I just, like, it's so dated, it just looks really silly now.
There's a woman that used to be friends with my mom, and I every time, like, she would walk away, I'm like, Mom, does she know it's not 1985? Because she had the hair and she kind of dressed that way too. She kind of dressed like Mom on the Cosby Show.
Well, what you don't know is that she came forward in a DeLorean from that year.
Maybe so.
Man, I love late 80s, early 90s music. I don't care what anybody says.
I love late 80s, early 90s everything. Like, I like the film. I like the television. I like the style.
Well, and it's really nostalgic for me because that's when I was, a little kid, so...
Well, see, I was a little kid a couple of years later, and I just assumed that that's how everybody looked and acted. I just assumed that what they showed Ninja Turtles, that's what teenagers liked. But when I hit a teenager, I had more than 2 Sid Vicious shirts. I had other shirts.
Oh, I thought you were going to say you had, 5 Sid Vicious shirts.
No, I don't have any Sid Vicious shirts. I'm not really a fan of Sid Vicious.
Yeah, but isn't there a part of you that wants to get that shirt just to see if anybody would catch the reference?
Yeah, actually. I would love to get that.
Wear it out in public and see if anybody was like, oh my god, Ninja Turtles.
It's like I really want to get the Power Rangers in Space Jacket, because I feel like it's a subtle enough reference that people that didn't know what it was would be like, oh, it's a coat. And people that got it would be like, ah.
As air quotes small of a film as this movie is, and I mean, obviously it made buku bucks, but I mean, they got a lot of major product placement in this movie.
Buku bucks? I've never heard that.
You haven't?
No. Is that a thing?
Well, I guess they don't have things I say in Florida.
Oh, I thought you were starting a trend.
No.
Oh.
Well, that's it for us. So, everybody, thanks a lot for listening to Geeks Not Nerds, the podcast. And Eric, thanks for joining me to talk about Ninja Turtles.
Yeah, 2 years in the making.
That was a lot of fun, man.
Yeah, I'm glad we finally got to do it. Having just rewatched the second one, I don't think I will be returning for a commentary on that one if you do it.
Okay, you're not gonna take the plunge.
If somebody else wants to do that one, they can do it if they want. If nobody else wants to do it, I might come back. But
I'm not necessarily committed to doing that one. I might wait until I'm really desperate for material.
But if you want to do TMNT, I will totally be there for that.
Oh, okay, cool. Well, thanks everybody for listening. I'm Captain Logan.
And I'm Eric.
And we'll talk to you later.